Welcome back to the WOMCAST. We have got a great show planned for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the cop to Crim relationship in GTA roleplay, and I'm interviewing two cops from the RP server that I play on, Rushhour RP. One being Nathaniel Marlowe, who's played by Fupajon, and then one being McGinnis, who's played by Mattawsum. These two guys, I really love RPing with them both, and I think there's a lot of great insights that we talk about within this podcast about that relationship. So, hopefully you guys are excited for this. Hopefully you're ready for it. We're going to be jumping into that very, very soon. Episode 4, welcome back everybody. Hopefully you guys are excited to be back for another WOMCAST. I know I am personally. We're changing things up a little bit today, and I want to actually kind of dive into more topics about what we're kind of talking about today. And so today I kind of want to talk about the cop to Crim relationship and how I think that should work. Some of the ways I've seen that go well and some of the ways I haven't. We're going to talk a lot about that in our interview today, but just kind of one-on-one, just to kind of, I don't know, cover the topic a little bit more. So for me personally, I didn't play a criminal character until I started playing Nick Ender, which was a few years ago now. And I didn't really understand that relationship, right? Because I had played a Civ character for a long time. If you don't know what a Civ character is, it's basically a character that doesn't really do crime. So I did kind of like deeper crimes, but I wasn't like robbing banks and having cop to Crim interactions all the time. And so I kind of dove right into it, you know? And the one thing I didn't understand that a lot of people told me was this whole like give and take idea. And what that means is like you give, you maybe you like, you let them have a win, you have a win, them have a win, you have a win. And I kind of agree with it. I don't particularly I don't live by that idea in the sense of like give and then take and then get win and then loss and then win and then loss. I more go like scene by scene, you know? And so what I guess what the ideal cop scenario that I want from the police, I think that's kind of a cool thing to bring up. The ideal cop scenario that I want from the police in this fake world that we live in is really just, I guess kind of a couple things. Immersion. I want the cops to be difficult to get away from, and fun. It's a really hard thing to like balance, right? Immersion and fun. And the fun side of it is that we still have a really good chase, and it's not so realistic that we're just getting like completely dunked on, but they can have fun with it as well. There's a few responsibilities that I think both sides have, and I think those two things are a bit of the responsibility on the cop side of things. Those two things for me are, if those things are there, you'll hear me at the end of a chase be like, that was a great chase. I don't even care that I'm going to jail or we got away. If I would have gone to jail, I wouldn't have cared at all, that kind of stuff. I think on the cop side, those two things are really, really important. But then on the Crim side, right, the thing that people miss out on is what our responsibility as a Crim is. Now, most Crims, I hate to say it, they just think about getting away, and that's all they think about, and the fastest way to get away. And they get pumped up because, realistically speaking, if you guys have never played the game of GTA roleplay, when you get into like an actual like heist scenario for the first time, say you're driving for the first time, or say you're like just in it, dude, your heart actually starts like pounding. Like you actually get like deep into it. So it's something to kind of think about. And when your heart is kind of pounding, you want to just like, do everything you can to get away. But a lot of times how that can come off on the other side is you just like want the win, you know? And so what we've started to do is start to think through like, okay, so say we think about like a vehicle swap, or we think about a block or those kinds of things. We're not only thinking about, okay, is this a good block to get away from the police, but we're also thinking about, do they have an opportunity to counter it? So with certain blocks that we do, we try to find, we try to see if there's like a parallel around, like the cops could get around it, or if we're going to do a vehicle swap, that they could follow it, and they have an opportunity to do so. Now, if they fail to do that, then that's on them. But if they should have the opportunity to do so. And so even that like line of thinking as like a criminal, you start to see that you're caring for the other side's, like the other players, like not just like cops, right? But you're caring for the other players like fun. And I think that's an important piece of the puzzle that a lot of crims don't really look for. When I get done with a scenario, the win in a scenario is that both people on both sides are like, that was fun. You know, there's certain ones where, you know, maybe you do win and you're happy about that, or maybe you lose, you're mad about that. But I think overall, the best scenes that happen in GTA roleplay or any roleplay server probably is that both sides were like, damn, even though I lost that or even though I won that, this was freaking badass. And I'm just super stoked about it. So I try to take that into the more heated scenarios where we're getting away from the cops, or, you know, we're trying to like outsmart them when they're investigating us, or those kinds of things. I want both sides to have a good time. There's another place where we did that with the like blue business, or like the meth business. I can say that on here, which is funny because normally on live I can't say that because of TikTok. But we started putting in some stops for the cops to be able to investigate and have a cool like investigation RP with it. Now it didn't really happen much yet, at least on that side of things, but we tried to have that with them. And how we did that was we kept, like, we had salespeople going out and selling this stuff, right? And we kept the same MO so that they could grab onto it. Now, we could have just switched that up every single day. Okay, they're selling through hot dog stands, and they're going to be like, you know, selling out of the back of a trunk in another place, and then they're going to be here. But that's not something that they could grab onto. So we wanted to stay within the food industry and allow them to investigate a little bit more, you know? So that's kind of the line of thinking for me, that if a criminal's thinking down that line, they're trying their best to make it a good experience for the cops on the other side. I'm sure there's a lot of cops, maybe even you're a cop watching, that has felt like I haven't successfully done that. And I think there's plenty of times when I fail at that. And so I'm sorry about that. But I truthfully, like, my ultimate goal is I want both sides to have a good time. It's a hard line to ride, not only for a criminal, but for a cop as well. So we got to give a lot of grace to both sides, I think. Like, you got to have that moment where you're like, okay, it could have just been like a mess up. You know, we got dunked on, and it could have just been a miscommunication of this and that and that. And I think that's something that on both sides we probably could do a little bit more. You know, just give that like benefit of the doubt, you know? But that, from my perspective, I think we try to do that a lot as a crew. Not only me, but a lot of the guys that I run around with. I'm not around all the time when they're around, and so I don't see everything that they do. But personally, when I'm thinking through a plan or when I'm thinking through those kinds of things, I try to make it for both sides, you know? So on that blue business, I think it would have been so much fun if the cops investigated that, and then they went all the way down the chain, and then we ended up in a court case, and we lost, and we're in jail for a while. Then we got to do this whole jail arc or something like that. I think that personally, that's cool. I really like that idea. I really like the thought of doing something like that. But yeah, it didn't happen, which is completely fine, and I'm sure it'll happen some other way. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't really particularly matter always what I think about, you know, the whole crim to cop thing, because there's a whole other side to that, and that's what I want to talk about today. And I think that's something that we're gonna kind of really dive into, is the cop to crim perspective. And you hear it a lot from me, guys, you know, but you're gonna hear it from the cops' perspective today, and what they think on different things like vehicle swaps, what they think on, you know, blocks, what they think on, you know, just what's their ideal bank, all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, I do want to enter into there now. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for all the support we've had on our merch launch that we had. If you guys want to check that out, it's in the link down below. If you want to support the stream or the podcast or all that kind of stuff. Thank you for just enjoying these podcasts and all that kind of stuff. We got a lot more stuff coming for you guys. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll answer them in the next episode, okay? So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on I guess this next segment, and we'll see you next time, okay? Peace. All right. I'm here with Fupajon and Mattawsum. Look, I'm just gonna be real, guys. This is our second time recording this part of the podcast because my power just went out. All right. So look, if we miss some gaps or something like that in the intros of of what characters they've played and all that kind of stuff. Just know that it was recorded at one point, and it was recorded very well. All right. Now we can't prove that, but it was. But
it was pretty
welcome,
good.
welcome, guys. It was great, right?
You guys are never gonna see it again.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the hidden episode of the podcast or something like that. Oh man,
you had to
this
be there,
first part was just amazing. But welcome in. So Fupajon, we'll start with you, bro. I need you to tell us what characters you've played and act like you haven't done this already before tonight. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the most known character that I play, obviously, would be San Andreas State Police's finest, Nathan Marlowe, aka 106, aka 103, now 169.
Is it really 169 now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I've gone through so many numbers, but so we got Nathan Marlowe, obviously. Then I got a couple other Crims that I rarely get to play. By choice of my own, obviously. I just kind of prefer the cop thing. We got Big E, a legend, Edgar Valentine. Sounds like Kermit the Frog. We also have...
I've had a good run-in with him. We'll talk about it later.
Who else? So we got Ezekiel Jebediah Silverstein. Only played him maybe 3 or 4 times on stream. Played him a couple times off stream. Like, he just kind of... If you ran over a local and then he yelled at you afterwards, that was probably me. Chud from Sons of Liberty. I mean, you rarely get to see him nowadays, but at one point they were pretty we used to stomp things. It used to be the stomping ground up north.
I feel like the Sons of Liberty are like, if you just give them give like a crazy psychotic group anything they want and let them run with it, it's like basically that crew. Is that wrong, or is that pretty fair?
No, it's pretty fair. Sons of Liberty, yeah, it's a wild group, to be honest, and it's a lot of fun though. We had a lot of fun on there. Definitely have to slow things down on them. Like we can't be doing that like 7 days a week all week. Yeah. That's not gonna happen. We got, who else? The last character, Jose from La Raza. Just an easy little throwaway character. Somebody you see, walking around, maybe riding a bike, maybe talking shit about your car.
Talking shit, dude.
Just talking shit.
I love that character too. Because I think I've seen him. Yeah, I think I just saw on your stream like him riding around on the bike, and you're just like, people end up kicking your ass by the end of it. Or
oh yeah, I think I've got like negative money on there. I've got maybe some like expired food, like an expired lockpick, and that's it. I got fisticuffs though. I'll throw it down with somebody.
So cop's your favorite though? Like Nathaniel?
Yeah, Nathaniel Marlowe. Well, I mean, I like Crim. I don't like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like the grind that you have to do. I did Crim for like recently, towards the end of December, like almost exclusively. It was a lot of fun, but then when we got to the point where it's like we were able to do stuff like we did a Bobcat, right? We were able to. The only thing that we weren't like legitimately able to do was rob a bank, which I mean. Somebody may have messed up for us, but we it just became like a grind where it was like we're either selling meth or we're robbing jewelry stores, and then I was like, I'll go play cop. I'll go mess around. I'd rather arrest the people and like try and give them a good time than having a grind out on Crim.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Makes sense. So Matt, what character you play? Or what characters have you played? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got 5 characters. I've got Ryan McGinnis. It's my cop character. It's typically the character that I stream the most. I just like streaming cop because it's. I don't know. I feel like there's always something happening on cop. There's more role play to run into. Like a little bit like what John talked about is on Civ. The grind is too much. I fucking. I've told you guys already, but. McGinnis I made in 2017 on a server fucking, way back on 5M, and I've been playing him since then, and, I've done a lot of crazy stuff with the character. I love that you can just kind of, on a semi-serious roleplay server like Rushhour, you can kind of just, go through arcs pretty quickly and keep things fresh for yourself or your audience or your friends. A lot of fun like that. I have a Vagos character, Martin Luis Alejandro Ortega. That was the first character I made on Rushhour that I met John on. He also had a Vagos character he since deleted. And then brought, Big E on. He likes to forget this part that Edgar Valentine is a cousin of one of the leaders of the Vagos. Got kicked out of the Vagos. I don't know if he wants to talk about that, but
didn't get kicked out. I left. You know,
yeah,
me and Spider talked about it.
No.
It was like
yeah, but
mutual.
I don't play much Vagos anymore. I love the boys in the Vagos. I still love the Vagos, but it's just that's where my more serious Crim is, and I'm not having that much fun right now on serious Civ roleplay. We'll talk more about that, but occasionally if you see me rolling around, I'll just be driving a car, doing some racing stuff, not really grinding. I have another Sons of Liberty character. I've got Ibrahim Moises, just a big fat ped. I fucking love fat peds. I think they were so
that's so
fun.
great. It really is so great.
Yeah, and we just made Ebe on a whim. We were playing some games someday, and I said, hey, what if I made because I had a previous Sons of Liberty character I killed off. Thought, hey, what if I just make a fat character that has a fat ped, just is stupid or whatever, and we did that. And we've just kind of, developed his story on the fly. It's just complete improv, a lot of fun. I've got Hector Gonzalez is my La Raza character. I love Deadbeat Crims. It's the same name as John's original Vagos character. A little troll to him, and just an absolute douchebag, just living on a fucking, on paid minutes on a fucking burner phone. Has no goddamn money, is squatting, that kind of shit. Very funny.
Yeah.
And the last character some people might know is Beaumont Kavanaugh, my crackhead, that I legitimately just made as a character to fucking just fuck around late night and fuck with people and just do some trolling like that. And John convinced me to start playing that character more frequently, and it's a lot of fun. I like playing that character because it's just simple. Just go in and start causing some chaos, not follow the rules. I want to blow off steam, I'll play Beaumont.
I love like chaos characters like that, especially like having them around normal, not like normal characters, but just like, I mean, like my Crim character I play, I try to have different types of characters like that around and just try to enable that role play for them, because I've played characters like that before, and there's nothing worse than you go up to somebody and try to start something and they just like shut it down, like, and you're just like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, I guess. I mean, what do you want? You want to just go stand at the mechanic shop a little longer or something, or what, And so I just love like grabbing, like when I find those characters, I love grabbing them and just whatever they want to do, let's do it. Yes. And whatever you want to do, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it's a lot of fun. But that character in particular is one that not a lot of people get to see very often. But whenever I see that character around, whether it's on a stream or like I see it myself while I'm role playing, I'm like, this is just such a great character, dude. Beaumont in particular.
Appreciate it.
But, I mean, you guys have like crazy range when it comes to like the characters that you play, and I think that's something that maybe people don't particularly know about you, because they might see your characters like off stream or on like another stream, not even realize it's you, which is like probably one of the more like the bigger like compliments, I think, when somebody doesn't realize it's you and you're doing a different voice.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
I think a lot of that is, because me and John both use different voices for our characters. John's got a lot of different, a lot of big vocal range. He also uses a voice changer and shit. And I think
he cheats? Is that what you're saying, or
on one character? Okay,
I'm just kidding, dude.
Fuckers cheat and he really can't do it all on himself. That's what I'm saying. But I think it's good to do a different voice for your character, not even for like other people's experience, but I think it's a really good thing to do just for yourself, because it really gets you in the mindset of a different character. It's really hard to play two characters and you don't really try to like at least change their accents or their speech patterns or something like that, and then get in the same mindset. So if I had the same voice as McGinnis on a Civ character, it'd be hard not to do the same things that McGinnis does or have it bleed into McGinnis's roleplay. So I think separating it like that is a great way to immerse yourself in that character and then make that character more immersive.
Yeah, I think too, like if people a lot of people can't separate having their same voice and like them from their character. A lot of times it's hard to do, like when you're just you and then you get the character gets offended. It's hard for them to like separate that's happening to my character, especially like when they're early on like role playing, and you can hear sometimes people get pissed off, or we all get pissed off at certain things that happen or whatever. And yeah, so whenever you're playing a different character, it's easier when you're doing some kind of like funny voice to not to not get as pissed or something like that, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
But especially like I think when you're first making a character, it's almost better to start with something a bit different. Like when you're first getting moving, it kind of teaches you that role play mechanic of there's a character and then there's you, and that should be a pretty big separation between the two. But dude, today what I want to talk about a lot was kind of the cop to Crim thing, and the reason I wanted to talk to you two about this like particular topic, which by the way we're arriving at where where my power went out last time, which is great. So now this is all new. So here we go. But yeah, so we I wanted to talk about just that cop to Crim interaction, how to best do that from a role play perspective, and we can kind of like dive into different scenarios or different things that have happened, maybe even between our characters, or bad things you've seen me do, or good things you see me do, or other characters in the city. You can call out people if you want to. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I guess when you're approaching like cop RP, like, is there a lot of thought behind that in terms of backstory or in terms of, I don't know, like just kind of any of the things you think of before you kind of jump into something?
I think personally, like nowadays, especially, I mean, I feel like if it was like a different server, it'd kind of be like different to gauge things. But I feel like nowadays, and I think Matt can probably agree with me, like depending on the scene that you arrive on, like you can tell within like the first couple words like that you're talking with the people that are like, we'll just use like a bank for instance, right?
Yeah.
Like if you start talking to them, like you can tell like almost immediately whether or not they're really trying to make this like be something big, or like they're just in it for the marked bills, which is like the easiest way to like kind of gauge things. Like if you're gonna go the extra mile with me, I'm also gonna go the extra mile with you. If you're gonna provide nothing, then I mean, have fun in jail RP, I guess. Like
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I see that.
Yeah, roleplay is like it's a social game, you know, and so you get as much as you give out, and people are always, you know, you have your senses tuned towards if somebody's trying to make, you know, some quality roleplay. If they're trying to go in a certain direction, you play with it, you know, because it's not, you know, we're not living in a really serious roleplay scenario or server here, like where everything is super strict. Like people can have all sorts of different kind of angles and different roleplay styles that you got to be ready for and be adaptive for. It definitely helps having a lot of experience in role playing and seeing, you know, different ways people can do it, but it also helps having experience on both sides of the aisle, you know, having a Crim character and Crim experiences and a cop character and cop experiences. The thing I like to remember at all times is like, you know, if I'm sending someone away to prison for like, you know, 120 months or, you know, 60 minutes or some shit like that, that's an hour, that's 2 hours of their time. Where not only am I I'm not kind of ruining their time because there's not a lot to do in prison. I'm just kind of I'm almost banning them from the server for a little bit, but also I'm removing their experience or their presence from other people's roleplay as well. You know, like, you know, putting a bunch of people in prison and trying to arrest a ton of people is going to mean there's nobody to roleplay with back out on the streets. It serves no purposes. It's all about the enjoyment of other people. So if I get into a situation where the chase is like 5 minutes, or even 20 minutes, but it's great role play and laughs the entire time, I'm like, hey, let's send this guy for like 5 minutes. You know, send her for 3 minutes. You know, don't ruin the experience. Reward them for the quality role play.
Well, there was a scene that you sent me for 120 months recently, right? And I loved every minute of it. It was a scene where we had gotten found in a tunnel cooking some old meth, you know, just up there cooking. And it was actually a whole like deeper scene than that. But really, long story short, we ended up like in your guys' custody, which what I finally like really, really appreciate about this particular scene is that every single time we've been caught like because we've been doing like that a meth arc for like a while. Every time we've been caught doing that, there's been zero investigation. And to be real, we just want it to be a good story. Like we're fine with getting caught up with this big old like RICO case or some crazy sheet with it, you know? And it just like never was really happening. And this was the first time where somebody sat us down and was like, what the hell's going on here? Like really tried to go. And I was on the brink of like going into like in snitching actually through that conversation. I don't know if you thought I was ever gonna do it, but I was actually like deciding. Like I was like, man, because like it was such a good scene that you had set up where you bring me into the office and you like start questioning me.
I like the slash
and
me that you did about you know, gets nervous after times were mentioned. Shit, you know, that adds more, you know, dynamism to the roleplay. Like, okay, I
yeah.
can tell this character's doing this. I can push it in that direction. It was good back and forth.
Yeah, I think those cues are very important, you know, and
Yeah.
not a lot of role players do that. Like they are trying to a lot of like especially criminal role players are trying to like find a way to get out and think through like, oh, I can say this and this and this. I can
Yeah.
get out of this sentence. And more and more I've been trying to like when I get to those cells, like giving an immersive experience to the cops as well is something that I think is overlooked a lot of times because when you're in the cells, like it can be hee hoo hoo ha ha, but sometimes people just want to like actually experience like booking somebody and like what that would actually kind of maybe feel like a little bit, and if they can question somebody. And so I try to give those like little slash me hints if like you know we have a bigger storyline going on, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that scene was just really really good. And I go for 120 months, and now I can like create this like role playing through prison, you know, and which is a very difficult thing to do, but I really like the challenge of it.
Well, on that scene, I mean, like, I don't know if you ever watch like my VOD or anybody else's perspective back, but I think that was a really crazy scene. It was a really good example of like fog of war on both sides because from our perspective, we 100%, we were going into this. I wasn't even there at the scene, right? But I'm seeing, you know, I lead our detective division. Our detectives were on scene. They were creating a, you know, like a file that I could see. And I'm seeing, oh my God, that's a lot of meth. So I attach myself to make sure everything goes smoothly. And I mean, everything that could go wrong for, you know, the police and that kind of scenario did go wrong. All right. So, you know, fog of war included, all my perspective is there was a shootout, cops went down, Crims went down. I go over there, there's a ton of meth. You guys are doing the, you know, Walter White shit and the fucking RV in the tunnels, really cool location. It's cinematic. I'm like, already this area, first of all, I'd never seen that much meth caught. You know, let's make some role play out of that. Let's do an investigation out of that. And also just the setting, it just bleeds that kind of like that role play intent that like, okay, we can push this further and make this like a, you know, a scene. We can get some RP out of this. And you know, I say fog of war because what we didn't know is that only well after the fact, after that RP had been concluded, we realized that, or I found out a character that you guys weren't shooting the cops. You guys have been, you guys were at war with the Vagos at the time. The Vagos had found you with security cameras and some of their own, you know, sleuthing they were doing, trailed you to that location. And then attacked you guys there. And then as they're leaving, you know, they get stopped by the cops who were responding to these shots fired, and then start shooting the cops, and then just miscommunication after miscommunication. And it's unfortunate that you say that like not enough scenes, you know, end up in investigative roleplay, because a lot of our police on the server at this time don't really push that extra mile, and I don't really blame them for that. I blame. You know, you can't get mad at a cop for not digging deeper when there usually isn't much depth to any RP scenes. I mean that's fair. You caught me, I'm going to shoot you. Is what it is, you know. Well,
that's where I kind of like chalk it up to a little bit, is like either that or people are complaining to them about getting to jail faster, like book me, you know, like, and they're like frustrated about being in the holding cells or whatever. And to me, I'm like, bro, like, if it's a good scene, you can keep me around for however long you need. You know what I mean? If it's a good, like, if it's good RP, if it's just like trying to, because there's kind of that other side of it where cops are trying to just make you mad and not even really like role play, that it's just different. But I think I just, for me, I want that RP. And we've kind of been trying to, with that arc, we were really trying to, during the sales portion of it, trying to get them on the way. We're using the same MO. Like we were telling people, don't use anything else other than like food industry stuff to like sell the product. You have to have like a lookout so that like they see it's the same pattern every single time. And it was like just no investigation. And we're like, damn.
Let me tell you my perspective on that, because this might actually be interesting to you. I have definitely noticed that. I know, first of all, I mean, John could attest, you go from group to group, you get their MOs and you know what kind of quality role play they're going to be going after.
Yeah.
You know, so you adjust your policing style towards, you know, what you're going to get. Now, I've definitely noticed that with, you know, the few times that I've interacted with your organization, it does have like those deeper things. I know that what you guys are doing is you're doing a style of roleplay that can be investigated. I've talked about this on stream before because that's the kind of shit that I would do. You know, I want to have, you know, layers and faults to my programs, or, you know, a trail of breadcrumbs that will lead to a greater story for an investigator. And a couple of times where I've been in a position to follow those breadcrumbs, I get into this moral quandary, and it's not your fault or really anybody's fault. It's the problem that your role play, like the role play of like doing the Vin Scratch cars and the car dealership and shit like that.
Yeah.
If I was an asshole, I go up, no, that's a Vin Scratch car. I already checked the VIN, and where's your business papers? You're done. Shut the whole fucking thing down in one scene. Right. And what I could do instead is prolong it, do undercover stuff and shit. But I don't even want to do that. See, I can do that investigation, but I don't want to do it yet because I want it. There's not that many opportunities and of that kind of quality of roleplay, and it needs to be milked. And I also want it to influence other roleplay. I don't want to shut that shit down and then prevent it, you know, from, you know, maybe enhancing somebody else's RP that comes by it, you know, because RP is very cyclical. If you see bad RP, you emulate bad RP. If you see good RP, you emulate good RP. I want that to be in the system a little longer. And so I'm always in these positions where I'm like, ooh, I could, but I'm going to sit back. I'm going to let it cook a little longer. You know, only in instances where like cops are getting shot, big meth lab operation, you know, happening. That's, well, you know, I'll stick
it's right in your face. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So, you know, I get caught in that situation quite a lot.
You're kind of, are you saying you're worried about shutting down the roleplay too quick kind of a thing? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, look, it's not, I know your whole roleplay is meant to be caught, you know, but if anybody were to do that, you know, to do really good role play, I usually let it go. I let that shit go. I want it to build to a larger story. If that were a very common thing that were happening, I'd step on it quickly, you know, and if you were to do it, you know, in a brazen and more bold way, then is when I'll step on it to like have an RP repercussion to get into reckless with it. But I do get caught in that moral quandary of like, fuck, I was talking to my stream the other day, doing the car shit. It's like, I know they're doing the Vin Scratch cars, but I don't want to fucking subtract, because nobody fucking does that. Nobody does you know, the used car shit. I can't, you know, in the 13, 14 months I've been on Rushhour, never bought a used car. Never had never had that RP interaction, which should be pretty common on a roleplay server, especially with, you know, grimy crime and shit like that. Never had that opportunity, and I want that to be there longer before I step on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think for me, it's not necessarily the stepping on it like immediately, but it's kind of the taking note of, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what you guys do with like the investigative side, because there is that side of it, right? You don't want to like just shit on somebody's parade, because it's so easy with I mean, you can literally like investigate something in a day and have it done, and then boom, you know, like. But
I'm thinking, done that before.
Yeah. I'm thinking that
it's definitely happened.
I'm thinking that, you know, you take pictures of the things happening, you see where they're going, where they take in the cars, and then all of a sudden, like, I would love to one day show up to court and they have just this whole entire like, hey, for the last like last like week, even a week, 2 weeks, we've been like taking pictures, we know where they're gone, you know, that kind of stuff. But the organization that takes is a lot, right? I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you got to catch it at whatever times it happens, and I mean, you can't really look on a stream and be like, "Oh, it's happening, let's go." You know?
Yeah. What ends up happening is that, like, with investigative roleplay, there's a lot of time and effort behind making a big case like that. And so, in the past, you know, the detective division that I run, that John's been a part of, is that we'll go after gangs that have a negative impact on health of the server. You know, and we'll leave other investigations for other people who want to, you know, pursue that. And we've gone after, you know, big, you know, I'll just call them, you know, little shittier gangs that are killing cops a lot and, you know, demoralizing the police force, that kind of stuff, getting into gang fights. And we'll go after them because, you know, the time that we put in, the ratio to the benefit the server has, it's good. It's good time versus benefit ratio. But if we're just going after some Joe Schmo that has him and his friends are doing a big weed thing and they're doing that, if I fucking put that much time, you know, fucking a few weeks into getting this guy arrested for 2 hours, you know, it doesn't really work out. You know, I almost wish that, like, you know, time sentence was like in days instead of months, you know, or minutes.
I am actually I'm the same boat as that, especially for big things, right?
Yeah.
Like, The big things should be like, especially if there's been a court case and you get, you know, like charged with it. I like the idea of being like, or you got to role play out prison for, you know, this day or something, or
Yeah.
like, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever. I think that's crazy, but yeah.
I think like I think it would definitely be a change of pace, but I think we're still quite a bit away from that. I'm like DOC's changed like drastically within the past few months, like
Mhm.
to where like now, I mean, I think the last time I went to jail, like there was actually a DOC guy there. Like I was able to
Yeah,
talk to him and interact with him. Before it's like, you know, you better enjoy pressing 1 through 4 on your keyboard and going
hmm
through, you know, doing like a little minute task.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it'd be pretty cool if like, you know, because like there's only been one major thing that I remember where somebody actually got like, you know, they were in there for days, and I think it was like 20 years or something. That's what they were saying in city, and it was because he murdered a cop. That's
hmm
pretty reasonable, right? Like 20
Yeah, yeah.
years, 25 years. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we're still quite a bit of ways. Maybe got to get some more active DOC.
Or
DOC's
some
been killing it
lifers
recently.
or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say next.
I
Some
mean,
lifers in there, some DOC. Jail could be thriving.
I think that's a
Something I've
great.
been.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think
No,
that's a
go
great
ahead.
idea. Like, you know, I would always love to see like a, you know, some jail role play. You know, I mean, John, I think you can attest to this. That was the initial plan for the Sons of Liberty, like the OG Sons of Liberty. So you guys
Gonna
wanted
become
to do,
lifers.
wanted to become the first lifers of Rushhour, but you know, it didn't turn out. But there's nothing to do in prison, and you know, that's something they're trying to implement slowly. But I think like, you know, an alternate way of fixing that is also increasing the time that you fucking get for prison times, but letting you serve that off that character, you know, offline. Relog, come back in
Mm.
on a different character and play, and continue role playing in the city while you're just, that character has been punished and is no longer going to continue driving all their fancy cars and their guns because they're out of access to that character for a day or
Yeah.
so. You know, I feel like that would probably be a pretty
I would just have like
simple
another
solution.
character in the same gang and they just come back and I'm like, just kidding. No, I think one thing I've been trying to do lately is like challenge myself with not really doing like the jobs to get out in the amount of time. So like,
Yeah.
so when I got like 60 months recently, I set up like Ender's Kitchen in like the jail like kitchen, and then like anybody who comes in, they're like a part of the kitchen. I've been watching the Bear like
Yeah.
TV show, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right, you say yes, chef, no chef, heard chef, you know, like all this kind of stuff, and just trying to find ways. I think what's cool about it is it shows like it's not only like a challenge to me, but it shows like some of the other people of the server too that like, hey, you don't have to just go and do workouts every time and just like work out, boom, 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 boom. It's really about like the mechanics. Yes, it would be nice if there was more mechanics, whatever. But if you just have people there and you're like can role play, like you'll be able to create something in that space, right? Like the big thing is you need people, and that's just the reality of it. But
Yeah.
if you have people there, there's something more that you can do that's like really, really fun. I
Mhm.
think the Ballas and I started like a fire in the jail in the kitchen, and it was like such a funny like scene. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh wait, our time's up. It's been like 60 months, like an hour. What the hell? Like we didn't even do any like other
Yeah.
work, you know? Or people are staying in there longer than their sentence, and you're like, wait, what the heck is going on right now? You know?
That's the way it's supposed to be, man. Roleplay is supposed to be about player to player interaction. That's the pinnacle right there. That's all you need.
Yeah. So when you guys roll up to a bank, this is like something that's really interesting to me. Like, what is the ideal situation? And Fupa, you can answer this first, but the ideal situation for a bank like interaction with Crims, like, what would you like say is your ideal?
I mean, it's like it's very minimal, especially like nowadays. Like the threshold that I have to where it's like, oh yeah, this will be fun is like so low, and I feel like people have kind of just like, I'm not obviously gonna call anybody out or do anything like that, but like
Mm-hmm.
overall, I feel like there's a lot of people that have kind of like beaten that threshold down quite a bit to where it's like, you know, even if you just go there and you just like say a couple funny things, I'm like, yeah, this will be a great time. But like, I don't know, it's pretty like without, I obviously can't like I can't just provide like, you know, exactly what it would be because it's kind of like a mix of things that would make like a great bank, like obviously just a bank in general,
Yeah.
that would make one of those scenes good. There's a lot of things that you can just pick up immediately to where it's like, oh yeah, this is just another, you know, ping chase, to be honest. But
Yeah. What are some
I
of
mean,
those things that those people did though? Like what are some of the things that those people did? You don't have to call them out by name, but what do they do that really knocks that down?
Oh, the biggest one is like when I go in there and the hostages are talking more than the robbers. That's like the easiest one.
Okay.
It's like you've been in here just as long as them. They've said 10 times the amount of words that you have. Or like the one that I've been seeing a lot more recently is like where they'll get 10 people hostage or some egregious number, and they'll like request everything is off the table.
Oh
And
my
it's like,
god, dude! No way that's happening right now, dude. Is
oh,
that
it's
really-
happening a lot. Like I call them out now. Like I mean, not now because I've taken a couple days a little
Yeah,
hiatus, but like I'll call them out like just straight up like, do you actually want to chase? Is that what you want to do, or is this like you just kind of want to get away with the stuff? And 90% of the people like they're like, no, like we want a legitimate chase, and I'm just like, I mean, it doesn't really sound like it. Like it sounds like
no,
you just want to
okay,
get
they're
out.
like, all right, no air one, no moto, no heat, no no cops and vehicles, bicycles only. You're like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Dude?
It'll be like no moto, no air, no heat. I don't want you guys using your radio. You have to use your megaphone for call outs. You have to drive in first person. And it's like, listen, a couple of these are cool, right? You want to do like no air one, no moto, and like drive
the radio
first
one's
person.
actually a good idea. I might steal that.
It
is
a good idea.
Like only that alone is good. Like,
yeah. But then when you add like everything else on top of that, and then I mean, that's the biggest one I feel like is when it's honestly more of a pet peeve of mine is like when I go inside of the bank and there's like, even if there's just one or two hostages and they're talking more than the actual robbers, which you
Yeah.
figure like, and I don't want them to be mute. That's not what I'm saying like at all. Cause I've been a part of those robberies, like as the hostage where they don't want you saying anything. And it's like the most boring RP that you could have ever. But like, I want you to at least say something, not like, yeah, give us 2 minutes so we can get negotiations. And then when you come back inside, it's like, yeah, we want free passage, no air, no moto. And then they'll be like, yeah, I just need 5 minutes and we're out. And then that's it. Like, that's almost the entire exchange of words with them. And then I'm sitting there talking to the hostages. Like, did these guys even ask you how your day's going? Like something stupid.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, they just put us in a trunk. I'm like, okay, all right. But
Yeah, that's hard. The 10 hostages thing is so stupid, dude.
oh, it's
Like,
been happening a lot recently.
And I wonder if they're thinking about it like, oh, it's like cool to have that many hostages and like I can see the optics of it, but there's
Mhm.
two reasons why that's so stupid to me. One, if you're asking for all the negotiation things, you're just bad for one, and you're just like you can't get away. Don't make it like everyone else's problem that you can't get away. Just role play it out. Number two is you're ruining 10 people's day in the server, bringing them to that one interaction. And granted, some hostage interactions are great, but most of them are like they're giving you your time, and you're gonna grab 10 people and take them out of the like city from role playing and bring them
Yeah.
just into your situation. I think it's really selfish. I think it's something to think about.
I had the last time I played Big E when we did like some like the biggest crime, which I feel like we did with like me and like Slim and Penguin and all of them, was when we robbed the Bobcat.
Yeah.
And I go down there and I know I got told that there's a hack that you have to do before the thermite one. I can do the thermite one, no problem.
Yeah,
I go down there and I start doing lights out, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I doing right now? And like it took me like 5 minutes to do the first one. I go to start the second one and I messed it up
5
completely.
minutes, my ass,
5 is
bro.
good, by the way.
No,
5
no.
minutes actually
Hey,
good.
okay, yeah, no, it was not
bro.
5 minutes.
It was like 45 minutes.
It took so long, and I just felt so bad. I was like, no, get these hostages out of here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to complete the last one, and then we're going to get other hostages and then come back
Yeah.
and do the door. Because it's like, they've already been there for that long. I feel so bad that they're, because on top of that, then you have to do the actual Bobcat. You have
Yep.
to like go through, you do all the thermites, you shoot all the people inside. And it's like, man, there's no way. If I was one of them, I'd be fuming.
Yeah,
But-
I mean that's fair. I think it's something that Crims don't think about a lot. Is they just take these hostages and then they don't give them anything to do. Something
Yeah.
a way I've been trying to combat that lately is have the negotiations go through the hostage. So
Yeah.
put the phone number on the wall like before the cops walk in, and have them call the hostage, and then we're talking through the hostage to the cops.
Mhm.
And they can decide, the cops can decide like, hey, we can like set something up because you're on the phone, or they can, just kind of try to like, hey, calm that person down. And it ends up being, I think, a pretty immersive experience for both sides because the cops like has like a worried person on the phone, and that's just kind of like probably what would be similar to real life if you like went up to a bank robbery. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of a, I think there's ways to find, I don't know, things for these hostages to do and to create it to be a fun, like immersive experience for cops where it's not only, I feel like most people default to hee hee hoo hoo ha ha, you know? And I don't know. I think it's cool, but I think there's something more to these like little mechanics that we do that isn't that. But I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, yeah. Well, I mean, like just for for those robberies, what's your ideal kind of bank robbery?
Me personally, I don't respond to robberies that much. You know, I'll be riding with John and be like, ooh, Vangees, or ooh, a bank robbery, Boulevard del Perro. I'm like, my brain doesn't register that because I'm not prioritizing those calls because I've just gotten kind of bored. They've been the same way for a long time. You know, I'll go to it now when like the calls are really slow because at least it's a guaranteed pursuit. But it's a pursuit with 30 minutes of, hey, hang on, we're gonna hit the back door real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's not entirely their fault. There's only so much, you know, you can do with entertaining cops while you're holding a gun to a hostage and shit. But it's the atmosphere. Everybody's very chill. You know, everybody's very calm and, you know, goofy and hanging out and shit like that because that's what the crims are on the inside. You know, that's what cops are like that. And, you know, it's nobody's fault exactly. And to their credit, DPS, you know, the Department of Public Safety, like the heads of police, have tried to change the policies. They're you know, mandating you have more of an alert focus, you know, and point your guns and, you know, try to make it more of a tense situation. That's their effort to try to increase the intensity of those RP scenes. And it's hard to do that because then the Crimson side are like, yo, what the fuck?
They're gonna breach now, because now they're used to it, you know. Like,
you know, like and they'll get mad at you, like you're fucking RoboCop. It's like, dude, that's following the policies, man. But like, so what I've started to do is I'll do the stick up emote and I'll play like tense music on my stream and just be like, oh my god, they've got a hostage. I just start panicking on the outside, like taking it way too seriously because like. Whatever, you know, like you make it entertaining in some way, do something. I do like what you said about like communicating through a hostage. I would love, I do rarely when it happens, enjoy when the crims on the inside are taking it very intense. You know, it's very serious. You know, Pharaoh, who I wish I saw more of nowadays.
He's very good at that.
He's very good at that. You know, he makes those scenes very tense. He'll communicate through phone numbers. He'll, you know, no, don't come near me. He'll fucking, you know, he'll bring the energy to the scene, and the cops, most of the time, they can't really reciprocate because everybody's trained and experienced to something else. But sometimes they do, and it can really, you know, I like that adrenaline. I like crazy scenes like that. So that's my personal taste.
I think it's more like, you know, there might be like, you know, some of the ones that you enjoy that are the goofy ones, whatever. But I think it does like create that floor of like immersion for both sides because like. That's something like, cause I'm kind of going to be dipping a little bit more back into like some heist stuff coming up pretty soon. And that's kind of the route I want to take it a little bit more is like on both sides. Like, so even when we're planning, I'm giving like particular jobs to people. I'm giving like, you know, hey, you're the thermite guy. You're going to take care of the power, like making it a bigger deal than what it really kind of is, but it gives them a chance to role play out that job. You're the hacker, you're the driver, and then like when the cops show up, negotiator, it's very specific how you're going to do this. You know, you've got to like, control that entire scene. Do not let the cops come in and start talking all crazy. You know, like that's kind of, I think that is something that Rushhour hasn't really seen because it just becomes so common, right? Like that people are robbing banks, people are doing this, people are doing that.
Yeah.
And then on both sides, if somebody tries to take it seriously, it becomes like, why are you doing that? You know, why are you doing this? I think the key is to give people cues, you know, because if you just come in like, if a cop comes in like at 100, like, everyone, if you keep on, we're gonna shoot you. If they come in at 100, it just doesn't make any sense. But if they like give those cues of like, this is going to be a serious and more immersive moment, and I'm taking you in that with me, and it doesn't mean I'm trying to win. It means I'm trying to create something cool for both of us, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that doesn't happen with banks. Let's be real. So it's all about, okay, how can I get away from this as fast as possible and whatnot.
You know what I think it comes down to is what's the player's intent to be on the server. Is your intent to role play and to have, you know, good quality RP scenes, you know, stories, or is it to get money? You know, a lot of times people treat these, you know, these games as just games. You know, it's like my goal is to make this bank account go larger, to get more cars and shit like that. You get confused because oftentimes that's your goal in real life, but that's not really the goal here. It's to emulate real life. It's to, you know, to emulate crazy stories that you can't have in real life. You know, that kind of shit. And so a lot of times Crim groups will just, what's the most effective strategy to get away from banks? I've been a cop for a long time. What's the most effective strategy to get, you know, money out of a bank robbery? And it's always, it's interesting to see how the strats that the server has that's most common, you know, will just be what people saw was effective the previous day. It's not the most effective, the objectively best strat. There's 1,000 strats you can do to get away from the cops in scummy ways. It's just people don't really bring creativity to it. They're just going off of, oh, I saw this work on Summit Stream, or I saw this work, you know, my friend did this yesterday. You know, this has got to work, you know, and then they'll do it. It comes down to what's the best car, you know, where's the best squeeze I can do, you know. And
I saw this streamer hit a route, and I'm
exactly, yeah, and like. So they're right there. If they're doing that kind of shit, you know their intent isn't to create, you know, a story. Their intent is to just get the money and then go on and grind their guns and cars and shit, and not really provide anything of roleplay value. You know, I love it when Crims are actually trying to do something unique and creative at a scene, not because I think it's the most effective strategy. I mean, try for an effective strategy, but do it in a creative way. Think of something new. Me and my boy Huncho, you know, our boy Huncho, shout out Huncho, fucking Attorney General
awesome.
Gill, you know, OG Spider. We did a 2-man Vangees where we took 2 hostages and we gave them a like an outfit code, dress exactly like us, head to toe, unidentifiable, unseparable, same outfits. And then before we left the Vangees, we went out to the corner and I gave them an empty gun. And I said, all right, you're me. You're going to get in the getaway car and you're going to drive away. Right. And so we went out there with our hands up, pretending to be the hostages. Sick. They get in the car. They drive away. Most of the cops follow them. A couple cops come over to us to secure the hostages. And we dip around the corner to where our real getaway car is and we're gone. You know?
That's actually sick. Yeah.
It was an effective strategy, but it was also unique. It was fun roleplay. You know? It's not like we're going to do it again. You know, there was a one and done kind of thing. We just wanted the fun experience.
I just can't imagine the hostages pulling over. I swear.
Oh, I was on the hostage car, and I was talking to my stream like after I heard the hostages, and then I was like, these guys, I know exactly what they did, and because like they called it out over radio, right? Because they drove around like for like a solid minute or two, and then they pulled over, they hopped out, they put their hands up, and then over the radio while they start driving off, they're like, the hostages are taking off, they're running. And I'm like okay, let them run. I mean, like we're gonna search them. I try and like, especially like on one of my crims too, like I push really heavily that I'm not going to be searched afterwards. Like I'll be like, that's a violation of my 4th Amendment right. You're not searching me for anything. And like I just try and get the back and forth going. So that's why when like they took off, I was like, you know, let them. And then they come out. And they're like, no, these guys are actually the hostages. They were told to take off because like I forgot what they said. They're like, yeah, the actual hostage takers got their information. They said if they didn't drive for like 2 minutes that they were going to hunt them down or something like that. And I was like, all right, listen, that's pretty 2000 IQ. All right, gotta give it to him.
I'm not gonna lie, that's better than anything I've done, bro. For real, man. That is so good.
Feel free to steal it.
Yeah, I'll just be like, all right, guys, I came up with this idea. Then they'll listen to this podcast. Wait a minute. Hold on, dude.
Let's take you to court in character for fucking copyright infringement. Intellectual.
You're like, he's a bit biter, man. He stole my bit, dude. What the hell? So do you guys, I guess with like, what are the other calls that you like responding to then, other than banks, you know, or like Vangees or that kind of, what do you like to do day to day on your cops the most?
I'm a big antagonizer, and I feel like I've said this on stream before. I was like, there's been some people that are like, they'll join the server, and it's like, you know, I don't really get to interact with you much. I'm like, if you ever wanted to interact with Marlo, which I don't know why you would want to do that, just go up to him and like just literally just start talking shit, because like that's like, I'll go to Alta, somebody will be sitting there, they're like putting in their car away or taking out another car. I turn my lights on and I'm like, you live here, man? You can't be Lord. I've got 10 calls about you being here for the past 2 hours. What are you doing here? And it's like, just like, I feel like the biggest thing like for me is just, I obviously, I like the ping chasing, right? You know, like
chases
Matt
are
said.
great, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like,
yeah,
you know, bank robbery, I'll make sure I'm on there. But if there's downtime, just go around, like, mess with people. I like to mess with the ballers a lot recently. I bought a
Yep.
house down on Grove Street. Um,
Love it.
but yeah, it's just antagonizing. That's like up there with like one of my favorite things to do.
Have you found yourself antagonizing too much at times? Like have you ever, because I know there's a middle ground for cops, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the reality is like you can have that like fun banter with people. And then there's the type of cop that will attempt to like legitimately anger somebody.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you find yourself kind of having to find that line a couple times or
Well, like I feel like if anybody's ridden with me, or rode, I don't, but if they're with me, right,
Yeah.
and they see me like, and you can easily tell, especially like, I mean, I've been in just Rushhour alone since before it launched. Like it's like I've been here for a long time, where it's like
yeah.
I can just hear that this person's not having a good time. I'll just say something stupid or something sly, like as I'm driving off, just to like kind of break off from that and like
Yeah.
hopefully not ruin that guy's day. Like I mean, that's like the biggest thing that I like to think about is like I can join the server pretty much whenever I want. I can have a lot of fun, but there's people on there. A lot of people, right? They only have 2 or 3 hours to play, like at max. A couple days a week,
Yeah.
if that. And I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, dude, I'm getting off. I'm gonna go play whatever else. Like, I mean, I'll just drive off. Like you
Yeah.
just keep doing what you're doing. I try and not, purposely get shot at, which ends up happening quite a bit of times.
Well, I think that there's a line, right? There's a line between
Yeah.
playing a character that is a little abrasive and trying to piss off players for content. It's the thing. When I see that, I know it's not a good role player. Like in my opinion, like when I see a cop that's trying to do that, and like in the cells, they know there's like that susceptible person. And they just know they can just dig in. Now, if the person's already overstepped it, that's a different story. Like if the person's like already molding just because they got caught and they're like overstepping it, I mean, hey, have as much fun as you want. But when it's like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know what I'm kind of saying, but like there's that person, there's a type of person that just does that and just tries to like, that's their whole entire character is just trying to
piss you off.
To piss you off. And it works.
Yeah, the biggest thing that you see that happen in is the cells, to be honest, from a cop's perspective, because especially like the people that are really susceptible to getting pissed off like that are the ones that kind of they're in it to get out, right? Like just in general. So then when they get caught, they're already not in a good mood, and then you just kind of keep you keep poking them, and no, I've definitely seen it before, and like the main area that you'll see it happen, especially on cop, is 100% down in the cells.
Yeah. I mean, it takes maturity to be a cop too. Like you got to know exactly what John says. Like you got to know when somebody like don't piss them off. Fucking when you make your entire character about trying to get that reaction, it's shitty because we've all been Crim. We know what it's like to get escorted and not allowed to walk and just be pretty much forced to be just to watch the gameplay happen in front of you and have no control, and then get put in a cell and then be stuck and not be able to do anything while they're working on the charges for 45 minutes. I mean, with the situation, on that note, with the situation we were talking about earlier with the 120 months in the meth lab and stuff, like we had the server wasn't letting people in, people were crashing, and then so some of the arresting officers weren't able to get back in with crucial evidence. I'm doing my best. Supposed to have 5 people interrogating. Like I was supposed to be stuck on you the entire time, while other people interrogating your friends, but I had to keep cycling back because we lost people. It was a fucking dumpster fire, but like, it's about providing an experience for the person. Like you got to know how shitty it can be to be stuck in a room forever and to wait for these charges and shit like that. I didn't even want to give you the 120 months. I was definitely going to give you like 10 minutes, like I always do, but. Yeah, you just had to push me. You just had to fucking do it. All right.
That's the cue I was trying to give you, right? I was like, do it. Like, this is such a good scene. Do it. I mean, if it's like something stupid, like whatever. But if it's like something good, dude, like, yeah, I'll role play that out. You know, even if I'm alone, I can talk to my stream and do it like that. You know, like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
the
If it's
cop
good, it's
has
good.
the
But
ability you have the ability as a cop to ruin somebody's night and just send them away for an entire time,
yeah,
like because they got caught. Don't do that, you know, unless they're really like, unless they're being the fucking asshole, unless they're fucking acting crazy for no reason and getting way too, you know, angry. At that point, oh, now I'm having fun.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a point where like I
If
don't
they
care
take
anymore,
it there,
you know?
bro, yeah, all fair
Oh, all
game,
day.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, yeah, it's the ones that poke the bear that
Yeah.
I always see what they're doing, and it's just like, dude, you
Stop.
obviously have no like, yeah, you just got no freaking chops, really,
Yeah.
and that's just the reality of it. I wanted to ask you guys about a particular thing that I personally don't like right now that the cops do in Rushhour in particular, because that's obviously where we play, but uh, is the flipping of people's cars and the amount of chances before cuffing or never cuffing and just like hitting them over the head with the nightstick or something.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I guess I'll say it like this: like if I turtle a car, it's unfortunate, it sucks, but realistically speaking, you guys got to try to arrest me at that point, you know? And even if it's like, you know, early on in the chase, we could figure something now, or we can get onto a foot chase or something like that. I just think there's nothing like more immersion breaking for me personally when a cop is trying to flip over my car so that we can chase longer. I get the mentality behind it, but like for me, like explaining that to my stream is like so awkward, you know, like I guess they're giving us another chance, you know, and like then we get away and you're like, well, the reason you got away is because, you know, there's that, and then there's the cuffing side of it is like really awkward right now, where it's you get tased, you fall to the ground, oh, don't run, you know, and then you get tased again, you fall to the ground, don't run, you run again, and then a lot of times it's like, okay, we'll like hit you over the head with a stick if you're BCSO, but or you know, like, or it just keeps going, like keeps going without any skill check of us trying to be cuffed. What are your guys' thoughts on that process, or have you thought about that much, or yeah?
Well, I think the whole cuffing thing is like a weird in between right now, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are doing it like a newer way where it's like we're more aggressive, right? We're trying to be more immersive. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like that, which I respect. Which is like, you know, I'm gonna tase you. I'm not gonna, you know, tackle you. They had it before where it was like tackle you a couple times and then we have to tase you and then we whip out the nightstick. Like I think majority of the people that I even like ride around with and hang out with, like I have a nightstick on me just to have one. I think I maybe used it when it's like before restart and then we're messing with other cops in the motor pool. Like you're going down. You're gonna have to 13 Bravo when you wake up. But like I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to car flips, right, is like having 80% of my characters be Crims. If it was like, if the Crim stuff was a little easier for things to do with a little less reward, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Like, hey, listen, man, you flipped your car. It is what it is, even if it's 30 seconds in the chase. But it's to the point where it's like, did they have to grind 3 hours to be able to do this? Like, is this all going to go down in 30 seconds because they hit a park bench and they rolled their car over? I would like, which I've been trying to preach for a while, is like, if things were easier to do and there was less reward, I feel like that would be like ideal for cops, because then we can obviously go a lot more serious, not to where it's like, you know, you hop out of that car, man, I'm tasing you, you're getting cuffed, right? You don't even have you can't even walk a foot out. But I don't know, I feel like you know, without saying it too many times, just if things
I'm
are
not
easier.
saying that. I'm saying more of like at least going for cuffs before you beat somebody down. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, there's been so many times where I've been beaten down without even trying to be cuffed. You know? And you're like, it's just interesting. But
well, it's because like beforehand, and Matt, you might remember this, it was like frowned upon to put somebody in cuffs when they were tased or when they were tackled. It was like it was to the point where it's like the Crims would just be like, oh, what, I'm tased right now, you're weird, why are you putting me in cuffs? I'm like, dude, come, Like you
We
just said
gotta
it, you're
do it at some
tased right
point.
now,
I
bro.
mean,
Like,
bro,
yeah.
No, see,
But like,
there was a problem because like when you got tased and you were in the like wiggling animation, someone handcuffed you, it would scuff you pretty bad. And there was a way to get out of that scuff, but not everybody knew how, so they just thought that cop was just being an asshole, power gaming you into getting bugged and shit. And
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, a crim is going to complain that a cop did something wrong because when your adrenaline's flowing and your goal is to get away from this person, you fail to do that, you get mad, and you're going to get mad. You're going to direct that anger at them. So no matter what, whether the crims or the cops are really fucking aggressive or the cops are in this server, the most fucking light and casual and carefree I've ever seen in any server, you still got fucking malding accented people. You know what I mean? Like, but you got a lot of mauled no matter what. So I mean, like, anyone's gonna complain. But yeah, at a time there was a bug that made it frowned upon.
Yeah, I think it's one thing I liked about Prodigy actually was that, right? But I will say the Prodigy mechanic of breaking cuffs was a lot easier than the mechanic that is in Rushhour, right? Like the one in Rushhour is pretty difficult, but that one was nice, and then it would get harder progressively as you broke cuffs. Like, so the amount of time it would just get harder and harder. And I don't know. I think it's good to kind of like, prolong a chase, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I kind of cringe every time like I get my car flipped for me, especially like for me, I can figure out how to do any job, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's not as big of a deal, with what you're saying, Fupa, but the I guess with newer people it can be kind of frustrating. But I also for me, I think that's a funny time in the cells to be able to be like, bro, you flipped the car like 30 seconds in and now we're in jail, like, I get given like a better sentence or something like that. But I don't know where I kind of fall on it, but it's hard to explain to viewers whenever it happens.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Like, this server, like I said, most lenient server I've ever been when it comes to like cop aggression. It just depends on what the server managers are aiming for. Like the first server I played on 5M, it was very aggressive. I got you tased, I'm going for cuffs. I got to get you. Rarely do you let that kind of shit extend. So very serious police stuff. And then I played another server, and then I was being trained like not to do that. I'm like, okay, so we're just gonna run forever. Yeah, shit. All right, fine. Right, and then this server, even more so. And I get it. It's to prolong the experiences for everybody. Like we're all here for the fun, right? That's why we're putting up with awkward stuff and roleplay. A bug happening or game mechanics and shit like that. Like John said, like, are you even here for the chase? Yeah, we're here for the chase. Like, so the chase is subpar or something unintentional happens. You give them a little flip to prolong the scene. We're not gaining anything by arresting you, really. Out of character.
Yeah.
We want the role play to go on, and we want to come to an acceptable end. And unfortunately, that's a subjective concept. So you'll have some northern people thinking that acceptable end is pretty quick. You got some other people thinking it's pretty slow. But in the average, there's always going to be an extreme side to either thing. By the way, I hate batons. I'll say this publicly right now.
So dumb.
Stop using batons. Right? Batons are only acceptable when they have another weapon that can incapacitate you. Batons suck just because they kill you, and now I need to go to the fucking hospital. Whereas if we just used hands, I'll go straight to level 3 use of force or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah, and just start punching people because it will knock them unconscious, and it does not completely ruin the roleplay scene or just anything like that. Batons.
Well, and like the freaking nightstick is like a vacuum too. Like you swing that thing from like 10 years away, it sucks in, it hits you over the head once, and you're like dead.
Well, that's
like,
any melee weapon.
You got the Commando
GTA.
Pro on.
Yeah, bro, it's like, what the hell, man? I always call it the RP killer is what I do. Like when like we're setting up, which vehicle swaps is another thing I want to talk about really, really quick as well. But when we're setting up like a vehicle swap, like, oh man, I flipped my car, I'm on foot. Hey guys, like come pick me up over here, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, we tased it once. Here comes the stick, and I'm like,
Stupid. Yeah.
I'm like, bro, like this. I mean, I get it, you caught me, whatever, yada yada yada. But at that point, it's more of like, you could have tried to cuff me. You could have tried to do anything. If I break cuffs, then it's like success. Okay, boom, I'm moving. I'm still going. But it's just like, bro, I just don't get the stick, dude. I agree completely.
like my biggest pet peeve on cop, like one of the bigger ones, is definitely hearing like he's been tased 3 times. Somebody whip out the nightstick, and it's like I go around and like people have probably seen it happen. I know Matt's definitely seen it happen before, where it's like, yeah, he's been tased 3 times. I'm like, no, listen, everybody deploy level 3 use of force, and then it just starts where like somebody goes to punch him, a cop
Punches
does the
another
same
cop.
thing. Yeah, like it just starts. Everyone starts getting punched. Next thing you know, the guy's over a wall, and like it's like I I have it on me, the nightstick, but I genuinely I can't remember the last time I used it. It's definitely
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
over half a year at that. Like I don't know why I have it on me. I guess it's just to fill another slot, you know, put it next to the
Yeah.
taser and just keep it there.
Yeah.
So vehicle swaps. What are your guys' thoughts? Vehicle swaps versus blocks versus like a full on plan, that kind of stuff. And if you need any more like I guess definition on that, what is what's your thoughts on all this kind of stuff? Because I know I hear a lot of cops complaining about vehicle swaps in particular.
Mhm.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think I mean I don't know about you, Matt, but I feel like vehicle swaps, like, yeah, they're still definitely there, but I feel like majority of people just try and, which I kind of was pushing for a while, was just like trying to see if they can outdrive the cops first, and then
Yeah.
like as a last resort, because like, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but like months ago, maybe like definitely over half a year ago, it would just be like run for a little bit, red garage swap, like run for a little bit, like
Pillbox.
just like
Yeah.
yeah, or like lower pillbox, like it's just like and those two still get used, which is insane. It's but I much prefer a plan or a block. I mean, even
Yeah.
if vehicle swaps, like the thing is like we have 4 cops on that chase majority of the times, unless it's like, you know, late night degen, there's maybe a couple
Yeah.
people on.
Yeah.
Like you should have enough units to go around. Like even for red garage, like you can go right up the road, jump on the highway, and come back like and easily
Yep.
get on the car.
Mhm.
Lower pillbox is a little harder to kind of counter unless they gun it north on the highway, which then you can just merge right onto there. But
Yeah.
like I'm a big fan of just like a full plan, even if it includes vehicle swaps, like it, you know, parachutes, stuff like that. Like, I mean, I've tried using parachutes before. They're not always
They're a nightmare,
100%.
dude. They're a nightmare.
I jumped off a maze bank one time and I definitely just went
Splat,
straight
yeah.
down. Yeah.
My fucking Sons of Liberty character got PK'd because of that parachute bug.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Rest in peace, Beans.
Yeah,
alright.
the vehicle swaps, especially red car or red garage and the ones like that. It's funny. We've even like had people about to join our gang, and then they call that out, and we actually won't even bring them in because that's what they use, like when they're not around us.
Mhm.
Because it's just like if you're not that creative, you're not gonna be that creative in like RP, dude. Like it's just the reality of it, man. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know, those
Especially on
swaps
just
for them.
like a map like San Andreas. Like there's so many places that you could swap to where it's like
Endless amounts, yeah.
you still can get into a brand new car. You can still have a chance of losing the cops, but you don't have that 30-second interval between cops like potentially getting on you or just completely losing them.
Yep.
Which I don't hate vehicle swaps, but I much rather like if it comes down to it, I'd much rather have something that's like one. And this is like even from Crim side, like I've done swaps just in the middle of a parking lot. Like there's
Yeah.
there's nowhere to it. You just get out of one car, get inside of another one because this one's
Yep.
repaired. Like something like that. Big fan of blocks, big fan of just like actual plans, like the one that the you did a couple months back where you guys took the jet ski up off of
Oh,
like off of the
such a
pier.
fun scene, dude. I think you both were on that scene actually.
Yeah.
I was inside the truck. I laid down inside the passenger seat of the
Yeah,
truck.
yeah. I remember that. Yep.
Like
'Cause I
stuff like
remember
that is amazing.
Because I remember McGinnis coming up and being like, "All right, we have an alpha. We can't follow you guys anymore." And then like driving off, and we just like we're like, "Wait, what? Really?" And then all of a sudden, I just hear, "Put your hands up! Put your hands up!" Like at the front. It's so good, dude. It's like, yeah, I would rather every day of the week do a plan person as a Crim as well.
My perspective on that I think is pretty simple because it circles back to something I said earlier, which is, you know, Crim's just copying the most effective strategies. I never have a problem with like vehicle swaps or any specific type of strategy. I have a problem with how frequently they're used because it's not enabling any roleplay. You're just doing it because it's going to get you away and you get the money and then that's it. There's no story to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's fine. You know, I get away. You know, Crims get away, for you all the time. It's good for me. I don't want to do the fucking paperwork, especially not on stream. I want to go back to driving and shit. I enjoy the chase, but like, it's cringe, man. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. I could see that car got away from me 3 times yesterday doing the same strat. What are you doing? It's very that's where I take issue. So whether it's a vehicle swap or maybe vehicle swaps get less frequent, it becomes blocks. If it's the same place and the same thing all the time, you're just doing it because there's really no way for cops to counter that. Okay, nice.
Not even.
I hope you're enjoying the server. No, that's
well, I was gonna say, like, not even like on the vehicle swap part. Like, there's 2 spots that are becoming very used frequently to get away from cops, where it's to the point where it's like they just start driving around the area, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is what this guy's gonna do. And the only reason that you can't counter it is because of the police vehicles. Like, you can't go upstairs, which are those 2 spots on San Andreas where you can go by like the Arcadius Tower. You can go up those stairs. No cops can follow you up there. And then there's one by White Garage, which is like you can go up there, no cops can follow you there. And it's like, it was cool. Like the first time, I think the first time I saw the one, not the Arcadius one, but the other stairwell. I think people call it like the museum or something. But yeah, the first person I chased through that was Jack White, and he had it. I was like, the fuck did I just see? Like he hit like a jump off the stairwell and landed in Del Perro. I was like, dude, what the hell? And then it came to like 3 weeks later, I'm seeing almost every single chase people are going through there, or they're going to the other stairwell. And now it's recently to where it's like there's a good 50% chance, depending on the car that you're chasing, they're gonna hit one of those 2 things.
Yeah. I think we did a jump there because it's like the one where you go up and then you can jump off and down to the freeway. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's the exact one.
Yeah, it's we used that one time for we jump off and then you land down, right? And then we had 2 freezer trucks. We had a club, like a BF club that I put into one of them, and we closed them both up, and then we just made them guess which one it was in, And it was like, it ended up being a cluster because it launches the car everywhere going crazy.
Oh, I hate that.
But yeah, it was a fun, that like area is like a really fun idea. But when you see something like a route over and over again, even for us, like, or for me personally, I actually don't even like anymore the just try to drive to get away thing. I personally think it's like really boring from a viewership perspective unless that person's driving, right? Like, and it's only fun for the person driving. And so that's why with the 5 people now, it's really fun to like call an audible, like a block audible, like on the fly. Okay, guys, we've practiced this block, guys. Go get a truck. Let's do it. Set it up. Boom. And they're able to interact with it. Get in. We've practiced it. Like RP'd that out, practicing it. It's pretty cool. And then we have names for them. Like boom, we go do this, go do that, and then like all the guys can kind of like get into it. Versus it being the small thing, or like the things like the jet ski one that we've done, or like those different types of plans to me are so much better because they're like do or die,
Yeah.
And we have to hit something and we can fail it immediately and have to like call an audible to make something else happen. And so I think it's more interesting for both. I was just wondering, like I know the chases even though are probably pretty fun, like because for us driving's fun for sure. But yeah, I just wondered what you guys were seeing like consistently over and over again because it's probably annoying.
It's just redundant. I mean, it's not really annoying. Like, there's like, obviously, I'm not going to say that I don't get annoyed or I don't get like agitated to certain things, but there's like very few things that actually like agitate me or like make me upset about anything. But it's just to the point where it's like, come on, man, this is what we're doing for the 5th time today. I've been on duty for an hour and a half. How is this the 5th chase that ends like this? Like, it's just redundant, And I get it because it's hard. The game's been out for years now, right? Like you're not going to be able to find something new every single day.
Yeah.
Like, just spice some things up, do some stuff that you saw people do 8 months ago that people stopped doing, stuff like that.
Yeah. And then the last thing we can cover is like shootouts as well. Like, what about, are shootouts interesting? Are they normally just another mechanic to try to get away? What are your guys' thoughts on like the amount of times people use shootouts, how they do them? Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
God, I love shootouts.
Yeah, I'll let Matt go first, honestly, because I love them.
I love shootouts. Like, I think to touch on this, like I got to touch a little bit on my like the way that my approach to like police roleplay and stuff. Like what I'm looking for when I'm playing cop is, especially on a server like Rushhour, where I can't, unfortunately, I can't rely on like every single scene I'm gonna be in to be like great roleplay. To be a fucking crazy scene. There's gonna be cookie cutter shit, and there's gonna be, occasionally some good stuff. So I like to have two mentalities. I have action cop and I got roleplay cop. Action cop, I'm just there. Like that's what holds me over between the the long breaks between good roleplay scenes. I'm there because on cop I can get into some action. I can't do that on Civ. If I'm not going to be grinding jobs, I'm just looking for roleplay scenes, and I can get really bored. That's why I don't really play that much Civ unless it's Beaumont where I'm creating the scenes. To oftentimes to his detriment. Right, but on cop, I can go into a car chase. I can do a little bit of investigative stuff, and then stuff can turn into good role play here and there. Blah blah blah. There's a wide variety of just like kind of, TikTok keep my adrenaline up, keep my focus up, kind of type of shit, right? And there's not a lot of gunplay that happens in Rushhour. There's not a lot of 13 alphas, and you'll hear me on stream all the time praying, I'll do this in character. God, I hope some cops get shot. Please start shooting people. Kill a cop with a family. Do something. Get me excited. Fucking dark humor. Like, what are you saying, John?
Oh no, like when we go on chases, and it'll be like, God, I hope this guy doesn't pull over and shoot us right now. I would hate that.
So
like
terrible because I have my gun on his head right now. Oh,
it'd be so bad. Yeah.
It'd suck if we went to the tunnels.
So you guys enjoy it from like a mechanic side of it, like
a gunplay kind of side of it, because like we do both. We're there for the adrenaline, just kind of like the action type of shit, and then we can switch into the roleplay kind of stuff when we need to, but gunplay happens very rarely too. That it's fun to shoot shit, everyone loves to shoot stuff in video games.
It's interesting. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just like, I think like if it's a valid shootout, right? Because there's like, I mean, everyone's seen it before, like the shootouts that happen over absolutely nothing, right? Like, I was in a stolen car with like a couple dudes. Maybe like you might be looking at less than 10 minutes in jail, which honestly you could probably just talk your way out of it or just get the car, like just walk out, and then the next thing you know 13 cops are down, and it's like, okay, come on, like
with
like,
bunny ears is running in circles, and you're like,
Hey, listen, we rolled out BTF for a while, but that was a good time. No, but like I think Matt definitely is right about that. I wish there was like, it's hard to find the good middle ground to where there should be like more like combat, like conflict, to where there's like more shootouts happening, to where it's like, did I just join like some V menu server to where it's just constant shootouts? It's hard to find that in between.
Yeah,
I think
I'm a big fan.
The things I don't like to see from shootouts personally is when it's just like, I've tried every other effort, and then we just like
go to a rooftop
every time. Yeah, like it's like, oh man, I couldn't get away, so like every I'm getting into a shootout every couple chases. And I think that's like, it just doesn't make sense character wise to me, and I think that's why it frustrates me sometimes, where you'll see like certain characters will just like get in a shootout that morning, in the afternoon, and then that night, and you're like, are you just like, what exactly is the plan? Like, what exactly is the role play behind it? I get the excitement of it, and even from like a streamer side of it, like I get the excitement of it, but it's kind of like, the depth of that character to me goes down a little bit, because it's just like every time you're trying to get away from the cops, it just ends up in a shootout.
Well, it comes down to like, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it comes down to like what, like I said, what are you here for? Are you here for story, or are you here to treat this server like a looter shooter?
Yeah.
It depends on what the player's intent is. I wish we had more players where their exclusive intent was to create stories, but oftentimes people are here to grind, progress their game like it's an RPG, or to to get into shootouts and treat it like it's Escape from Tarkov, which like I get the
Is that okay to have though, or is that what do you think?
Is it okay to have absolutely not. No. If you want a good roleplay server, you want stories. When I don't get a twist when I say I like the shootouts. I like the shootouts on the action side. I think it can be detrimental to server health, which is why I want to kill the guys that are doing that and then arrest them for a long time. I will pass judgment on whether or not this was a legitimate shootout, or if you just went to a rooftop and tried to wipe cops and had dudes rolling around in Zentornos where you can't shoot the back out. Hope people don't start doing that now that I said it, but like It's just bad. You know, it's fun to do as a cop. I have really thick skin with that. I like the challenge. I like engaging
Yeah.
shitlords, you know, because it's fun to do and because I'm doing it for a good cause. I'm going to arrest them and prevent them from doing it a little bit, almost like a mini server moderation. But,
Yeah.
you know, ultimately, it is a good thing that that hasn't happened for a very long time. You know, John, you can attest, there's not many times. It happens a little bit, but it's not as often as what it used to be, going to the Daily Globe and run up on the rooftops, killing all the cops and shit like that. That happens, you know, quite a bit
You end
less
up on a
frequently.
montage on YouTube or something.
Oh, yeah.
and-
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad our the server is banning people that or have montages like that, because it's cringe. I think it's really, really cringe, is my perspective, to brag about being good at a video game, especially a roleplay server. I just think it's
Yeah.
that's cringe. Don't.
You missed the point. Is my
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
You missed the complete point.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
Well, I say it a lot because if I'm not playing 5M, like the other game that I play, obviously is just Counter-Strike, right? So like
Yeah.
if it's a bad shootout and it's to the point where it's like this isn't progressing or helping improve your character or providing like some sort of depth to your character at all, like you had 10 minutes ago you had the opportunity to get out when you shot one cop, but you're just sitting there, you know, you're
Yeah.
robbing, you're getting more armor, the more cops that come, you're just shooting more of them. It's like that's like, listen, man, if I want to get in a shootout like that, I will just boot up Counter-Strike. Like that's exactly what I'll
Yeah,
do. Like
yeah,
that's it. But I'm a big fan of them as long as it's for like valid reasons, you know? Like if there's
Mhm.
like if there's an actual storyline behind it, there's an actual reason to get shot at, there's an actual reason to have an entire shootout, to pull the 20 something cops, you know, to where
Yeah.
they have to set up perimeters and like do stuff like that. Then I think it could be a lot of fun, but
Yeah, and
it's hard
honestly,
finding the
Yeah,
the
I think
in-between.
that's a good challenge for Crims, right? To try to create kind of a badass like shootout. Where it really
yeah,
happens, like
yeah.
on which roleplay servers it really happens really good on is Red Dead. Actually,
Hmm.
the shootouts in Red Dead are crazy, dude. Like you actually like can kind of bob and weave. It's like the mechanics of it are just a bit different, like a lot slower.
Mm-hmm.
And
like
it
that.
allows for like you to talk in between, like, oh, you know, you might as well just leave or something, you know, like, you know, it just allows for that.
That's pretty
And
cool.
the GTA side of it is just so quickly turned into like who's better
Yeah.
versus it being like a really cool like shootout. And that's where like I think like as Crims, like it's just a good challenge to like try to set a scene up like that. Even if you plan it from the beginning to be like a
Mhm.
shootout or something, you're able to like do something like that would be kind of cool to see versus it being just like, oh man, I've tried everything else to get away. That's my like 10th vehicle swap. And then let's go ahead and like, all right, we're going to do a shootout, guys. You know, an hour and a half chase to a shootout. You know, it just kind of
Yeah.
Time to hit up Rockford Plaza.
yeah. I think it's just a little bit selfish time wise to the other players.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you know, you've taken them on this like long shootout or this long chase, and then you're gonna end it in this like longer way for them to have
Yeah.
to deal with. And it's like, yeah,
You know, my cat, like, just the only thing I have counter to John or what John said is like, even if there is no real good roleplay reason for why you're shooting, please do it in an interesting place. I am so goddamn deprived of interesting shootout locations. There are so many enterable buildings and different places you can do shootouts. You know, go to Michael's mansion, go to fucking Life Invader, do something. I love CQB. Like, you know, then you have the cops on the outside. You got that set, you know, time where the cops are going to plan their breach. They're going to do the SWAT
Yeah.
stuff and shit. It drags out in a cool way. There's a lot of stuff going on.
that's cool.
Do
Yeah.
it in interesting locations, please. Just something.
You know, the hard
creative.
part about doing that though too
What?
is when the cops like they just like body block into the buildings.
Yeah.
And they just treat like people like, oh, you're the first shield. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? They'll just like put like 10 people in a line and just you know, you're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
So I get that too, but yeah, that's the thing. I think location's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like not just like pulling them into the tunnels and boom, or like, you know, but like yeah, the location could be a really big deal to it. That would be immersive for both sides. I think we did that one time with Life Invader. Like we had some guys like holed up in Life Invader,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the cops were outside like planning, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were just sitting around planning with no protection, so we ended up shooting them from outside as well.
Nice.
So that kind of sucked, but yeah, yeah, man. I think it's an interesting conversation because I always thought maybe like if cops get shot down in a cheap way, obviously that's probably like not fun, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
in a weird like cheap way, and I just don't think it really like adds
Mhm.
to the role play, but immersive shootouts is something maybe I'll look into. It'd be kind of a cool thing to try to figure out.
I'd love it.
I suck at shooting anyway, so you'll get me anyways. But yeah. So on the streaming side of things, where can people find you guys and all that kind of stuff, man?
I mean, everything is just Fupajon. That's
Perfect.
literally everything.
Yep. You can find me Twitch, Mattawsum, Mattawsum. You know, because I couldn't spell awesome when I was 7 making a gamer tag, so stuck with it. No, okay. There was actually fucking character limits. People make fun of me for that all the time. But yeah, I do that. I want to do more edited videos on YouTube. Same handle. You know, putting highlights up there.
Awesome. And then anything else you guys wanted to like kind of bring up on this side of things, or you would like for people to know from the cops' perspective? Because a lot of people who watch me are like watching Crim's perspective mainly, you know.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people think that like. Granted, there's a lot of cops that actually do think like that, but I feel like there's a lot of people that think that the cops just like their exclusive thing is like all they want to do is load in the server and like ruin people's days, like by just arresting them, send them away for 120 months. I think Matt said it earlier, but like my ideal thing would be like good role play, good chase if it led up to it, and then you get away, because then I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go down. Like sitting in the cells to do all the paperwork and do that like is way more of a chore than people think. Like if you've seen the actual like the incident side of things, adding like the evidence, adding the narratives, the locations, all that, like everything on there, and then our processes to like submit that stuff is not easy. Like it's easy in like retrospect, but it is time consuming to where like if it's a massive shootout where we just spent 45 minutes getting shot and like, you know, we inevitably caught the guys, guaranteed like 2 or 3 cops are going to spend another hour to do the actual like report side of things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't always want to arrest people. I just, you know.
Is that why I get away from you most of the time? Is because you don't want to do paperwork? Or
yeah, it's calculated, you know, like I'll just, this is just the first chase of the stream. You know, why do I want to arrest somebody right now? I don't want to spend an hour down there.
Anything from you, Matt?
Yeah, no, I'd pretty much say the same. I'd say that for anybody that's getting upset with police, you know, remember that the same relationships you have with each cop, you know, this cop's bad, this cop's good, every cop has with each civilian. You know, just try to go in, try to, first of all, create roleplay, guys. Just be creative. You know, think about this while you're not playing the server, and then go in and try new stuff out. You know, the point of the server is people are supposed to be enabling that, and if they don't, then try somebody else or report the people that are enabling it. You know, they're not meant to be doing it like that, and have, you know, a positive mentality going into the RP, because our job is to reciprocate that. I can't speak for every officer because every officer is just another player, but if you run into me, I'm just trying to have a good time, trying to give you guys a good time as well.
Perfect, man. Well, thank you guys both for doing this, dude. I know we had to redo the first part over again, and you guys were like just awesome for doing that, man. So I appreciate you getting this,
yeah, we missed getting
this in and all that.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, so much gold in that first recording, man.
You had to be really there, dude. Like you just
had to be there. Well, thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate you.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. There's another one right here, or like maybe right here, or something like that. Also, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you smash that subscribe button. If this is your first time ever seeing me, I'm also live on Twitch Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I might be live right now, you never know. All right, see you in the next video.